Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to take a look at the hot new cloud IDE Coder. Okay, it's called Coder. It's at coder.com, and I'm sure many of you know what an IDE is. If you don't, it stands for Integrated Development Environment, and it's much more than just a text editor. There's plenty of online editors and front-end sandboxes that you can use in the browser. But this thing allows you to write, run, and compile at least 15 languages, and they're constantly adding more. And some added languages are partially supported at this time. Now, we can run servers. They give you a list of ports that you can use to run, let's say, a Node app or PHP, Python, whatever you'd like. And you basically have your own Linux box, your own terminal. You have root access to. You can install whatever you'd like. You can invite others to collab on a project. So it's great for teams. Now, it is in a public alpha phase, so please understand that some things will be changed and added in the future. But I think this thing is going to be huge, honestly. It allows you to run completely encapsulated programming environments right within your browser. Okay, so regardless of what you're using for a machine, what you have installed, just think of all the stuff that you have to do to set up like PHP or Python or Node on your local machine. With this, you don't have to do any of that. You just have it available to you in the browser. So I think this thing is going to go very far. So what I want to do in this video is I want it to be kind of a crash course. I don't want to just talk about the features and all that. I want to jump in, experiment a little bit, give you some simple examples using 4 or 5 different languages to show you how easy it is to get started, and we'll look at some of the features along the way, look at the interface. And again, it is in a public alpha phase, so there are features that will say like coming soon or something like that. All right, because they are constantly working on this thing and adding to it and making it better. So let's take a look. If I start to scroll on the home page, this is really cool. It starts to like change and all these little buildings and stuff pop up, and then it'll start to scroll down. And you can see here all the supported languages. So all the modern languages, we have PHP, JavaScript, Go, C, C++, Java, Rust, Python, even, of course, HTML, CSS, JSON, YAML, TypeScript. And then we have partially supported language like Batch, Clojure, CoffeeScript, Ruby, Swift. So you're going to be able to use this for just about any language that there is. And then this tells you some more information if you guys want to go through and read this. This tells you about the hardware. Everything runs in a container, so you get what's called a container, and it's basically just a really powerful Linux Ubuntu machine. Everything you do happens within a container. All your code is stored there when you run your server. It's all happening within that container, and it's all in the cloud. None of the power comes from your local hardware. Okay, and then you have something called fast time where you can turn this on and it will dynamically scale your container resources and make everything faster. And you can do that with just a click of a button. And it just goes on to tell you more about the collaboration and so on. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to just click login, and I'm going to log in with my Google account, and I already have in the past, so it just brings me right in. If you have multiple Google accounts, you'll just click whatever one you want to use. And then this is the main interface, okay? So this is where all of your projects will be listed. You can see it kind of gives you an example of what they'll look like. And if you have collaborators, they'll show their little avatar here. And any project you create is going to run in your container. You can actually see your containers here. Now, when you sign up, it'll create a container. Mine's already created. It's called My First Container. It shows you the disk info. You can turn it on and off. You can completely reset it if you want. You can turn fast time on from here, but you can also do it within the interface, which I'll show you. Manage disk storage is coming soon, as well as creating multiple containers. Okay, so this stuff will be added very soon. So let's go ahead and create a project. So we'll click Create Project. I'm going to call this, we'll just say my-node-project. Okay, and I'm going to create a couple projects using a couple different languages just to show you a few things, because not all of us are Node developers. You may want to use this for Python or Go or whatever. So let's open up the IDE. So it's just going to initialize everything, open it up. And what I really like about the interface here is it's very similar to VS Code. I don't know if they did that on purpose. They probably did because VS Code is an excellent text editor. But as you can see, we have the little sidebar here. We have the file explorer, which is, of course, empty right now. We can hide it and show it by clicking that. We can search for stuff. If we want to invite collaborators, we can go ahead and click this icon, put their email address in here and send them an invite. And it's really cool because when people collaborate, it's in real time. So if they create a file and you're logged in, you'll be able to see that file get created, and it's really cool. So it's great for teams. This little globe icon here is for your server. Basically, like let's say we have a Node app. We run it on a port. Now you can use any of these ports. So the default port 80, 3000, 3001, you can use 8080. So all of these different ports you can use. And when you run your server, you'll have some options here to either open in another tab to view your app, or to open it right in here, right in the interface, which is really cool. So you literally don't even have to leave this tab. And then here you have your terminal. Okay, so if I click this, it opens up our Linux terminal right in our project, which of course is empty right now. And then you can toggle fast time right here. If you want to turn fast time on, if something's taking a while, you can just simply toggle it and it will dynamically scale your resources, which is just awesome. All right, so settings. Now I want to actually increase my font size. So if I go to File Settings, or control comma, which is actually the shortcut in VS Code as well, you can see that the settings resembles VS Code and is very familiar. So I want the editor font size, which is right here. So by default it's 15. I'm going to go ahead and click this and say copy to settings, and then over here I'll change it to 25. I also want the terminal font size, so I'll just search for terminal. Let's see, it should show up here, right here, terminal font size. We'll bring that over and set that to 25 as well, and then we should be able to save. Let's see if we say save all files, and let's go back to our terminal, and now it's much bigger. Good. And if you guys want to check out all the different settings or search for them, you can do that here. There's also a command palette. So if you do Shift Command P, it opens up the command palette. If you want to change your keyboard shortcuts, for instance, go ahead and search for that, and you can change your shortcuts. So if you want to experiment with the command palette, you can do that. Now, what is really awesome is that we don't have to install Node. We don't have to install PHP or anything like that. These things are already installed. If I do node -- version, you'll see we have npm installed. If I do Python, if I can spell it right, Python version, PHP version. So all this stuff is already installed, which is fantastic. So I'm going to clear that up with Control L, and then let's start to create a little Node project here. So with Node.js, we want to initialize a package.json file. So I'm already in my terminal here, so I'm just going to simply say npm init. I'm going to add the -y flag to kind of skip the questions, and then that gives us a package.json file. All right, and if I want, I can kind of move the terminal over here like that. Yeah, we'll clear this up. And now we have our terminal, and we can also see our file here. So let's install a couple dependencies. I'm going to do npm install express, and let's install EJS, which is just a template engine. It's embedded JavaScript. Okay, so those are now installed. You can see the dependencies here. Our node modules folder is here. Let's now create a new file. We could either do it from here, or we could even just say touch. Let's call it index.js, and that will create it for us. Okay, we'll open that up. I want this over here, though. We'll close up package.json. We'll save. All right. So in index.js, let's just create a quick application. We'll do const express equals require express. Let's also bring in, actually we don't need to bring in EJS, I don't believe. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. Let's do const app equals express. Oops. Okay, and then we want to set EJS as our view engine, so we'll do app dot set, and let's say view engine. We want to set to EJS. Let's create a route. We'll do app.get. And let's do first slash request response. And this isn't a Node tutorial. I'm just quickly creating a Node.js app. Let's do res.render. So we want to render a view, an EJS view, and it's going to be called index. Okay, so res render index. And let's see, we need our server to be able to run, so we'll do app.listen. You get these nice little drop downs. Oops. App.listen. Let's listen on port 3000. That's one of the available ports we can use. And we'll just do an arrow here, and we'll say console.log, and we'll just say server running. Okay. So I don't think I'm missing anything here. So let's go ahead and save this file. And now it's going to look for an index.ejs file inside of a folder called views. So let's go ahead and create a folder over here. Call it views. And let's create a new file here. And we'll call this index.ejs. And let's just put in some HTML tags. Oops. And we'll do, can't use Emmet, right? No, that's not going to work. And let's see, we'll do title. Alright, so let's see, head, let's fix this up a bit. Alright, so in the body, I'm just going to put an H1. Alright, so we'll save that. So what should happen is we should be able to start our server by running node and then the name of the file. And we should be able to hit this endpoint, which is the root, and it should load the view, the index view. So let's go over to our terminal here, and I'll clear this up, and let's say node index. Okay, we get server running. Now let's go over here to this globe icon and see that it's changed. It actually gives us this URL, and we can open it in the IDE, but I'm just going to open it in the browser, so a new tab, and there it is. Hello. So we're now running a Node.js application right just inside this IDE, inside our browser, which is awesome. So if we want to stop it, we can do a Control-C. And just to do something else here, let's add, we're using EJS so we can pass in dynamic values into our template. So I'm just going to put a second parameter here of an object. And let's say title. And we'll say hello world. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make sure that that is saved. Yeah. And now in the index file, I'm going to replace this with a less than, and then we want percent equals, and then the variable name, which is title, and then we want percent and then a greater than. Okay, so we'll save that. I'm just doing Control S, or you can save here. And let's run our project again. So node index, we get server running. Let's go back and reload, and we get hello world. All right, so that's that. That's a Node application. Of course, you can build whatever application you want. I'm sure it will be a little more advanced than this, but I just wanted to give you a quick example. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and the server is no longer running. If I go over here, you'll see it's no longer running here, and it's not going to work if I reload it. All right, so that's that. So let's go back to, let's see. So we'll go back to our our project interface, or project collections, whatever you want to call this. And let's create a new project. So let's say we'll do PHP. Okay, for you PHP developers. And let's click on Open IDE. And I'm not going to do anything like extensive here. The Node app was probably the most I'm going to do, but I just want to give you guys some simple examples on how to actually run it and start it and stuff. All right, so let's create a new file, and we'll call it index.php. Okay, and you can see it even has a little PHP icon. And in here, we'll put some PHP tags, and let's create a variable called greeting. We'll set that to hello world. And down here, let's see, I don't want to do that. You know what? I don't care about semantic HTML tags. Let's just do an H1, and let's put some PHP tags in here, and let's say echo greeting. Okay, now to run the server, for if you're using vanilla PHP like this, to run the server, what you want to do is open up your terminal, and you simply want to do PHP uppercase S. Now, you don't want to use a loopback address like 127.0.0.1 or localhost. What you want to use with Coder is 0, 0, just all zeros like that, okay? And then we're going to run it on port 3000, which is one of the available ports. So let's try that out. Okay, so now our server's running. If we go over to our little icon here, we should be able to open it up, and there we go. So now we have a PHP application running. That's how simple it is. All right, let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I want to do here. And you could continue on and build, your PHP application. So I'm going to stop this, Control C, and close this up. And if you want to experiment some more with this, you can, but I just want to give you some simple examples. So I'm going to go back. Let's create a new project, and let's call this my Python app. All right, so we'll open that. Now, what I'm going to do for Python is I'm actually going to take a script that we created a few tutorials ago. It was a web scraping script, and I'm going to put that inside here, inside this this Python project. Okay, so if we go to, let's see, I'm just going to paste the link in here. It's actually a gist of the script we created. It uses Beautiful Soup, which is a library for web scraping and requests. So I just want to kind of run this within our Python app. So let's go back here, and let's create our file, and then we'll install Beautiful Soup and requests using pip. Oops. Scrape.py. Okay, gives it the little Python icon. And then let's see, we want to install some of those things using pip, which is Python's package manager, which is installed by default. So we can say pip, let's do pip install BS4, which is Beautiful Soup. And let's do pip install requests. Okay, so those are installed. Now we'll go back to scrape.py. I'm going to grab this script, and basically this just scrapes a sample blog that I have up. This is actually my website, my sample blog that I used in the tutorial. And then what it should do is create a CSV file from the blog posts. So that's what should happen. So let's paste our script into scrape.py, and let's save it, and then we should be able to run this, and it should create our CSV. So we'll go over to our terminal, and let's run Python scrape.py, and there it is, post.csv. So we now have a comma separated value file with all of the posts from that URL. Okay, so that's our Python app. Let's close this stuff up. We'll go back. And let's see, I'm going to do a Go application now. Just very, very simple, just to show you that we can do it. So let's say my-go-app. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Go, it's Golang. It's a great language by Google. It's fantastic, and I'm actually thinking about doing a course on that itself. So let's create a file here. We'll just call this index.go. And here, all I'm going to do is say package main. We want to bring in the package main. We want to import the formatter. So that's FMT, just because I want to output something on the screen. Then we're going to create a function. Now, the reason we're getting this error here, not that this is a Go tutorial, but we're getting this error because we're not using main. So we're going to create a function. Actually, it's func main, and then that little line should go away, or not. So let's say FMT, so our formatter, which has, let's see, we want print line right here. Yep, print line. And we're just going to output here, hello from Go. All right, and let's save. Okay, so that little line went away, good. And now we should be able to run this by going to our terminal and saying go, because Go is already installed, run index.go. And there we go. There we go, hello from Go. All right, so that's that. And obviously you could build a much more extensive Go application. So you can see, like, I've used all these different languages in this IDE. I didn't have to install or set up any of them. It's simple. So the last thing I want to do is actually use Git to grab a repository. It's actually going to be a Vue application. If I go to, let's see, let's go to GitHub and let's see your repositories. It's the word translator. This is a simple Vue application we built in a tutorial. It just translates a word to a certain language. So I'm gonna go ahead and clone this and run it in a new project in Coder. So let's say create project, and I'll just call this word translator. Okay, let's open that up. Start that up. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my terminal and I'm going to clone this. So Git is already installed, just like just about everything else. So git clone https. We're going to say github.com/Brad Traversy/word translator. Okay, so it's going to clone that. And we should now have a folder called Word Translator. Let's go into it. Okay, and if we look at our GitHub documentation here, nothing special, but it just tells us we need to install our dependencies and then simply run the dev server. So let's do that. Let's do npm install. And if I switch on fast time, it should make it go faster. So you can easily toggle fast time on and off, which is really cool. Okay, so I'm going to shut fast time off. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do npm run dev. And it should start up our server. I believe it's 3000. I think it should tell us. Oh, 8080, which is one of the ports that we can use. Wait a minute, what is this? Let me see, is it running? Oh, it is running. Let's say open in browser. And there we go. Not sure what this is. Unhandled promise rejection warning. Well, the app is running, so we say hello. We can choose a language. So we'll keep Russian, translate, and there it is. All right, so you can easily just go ahead and clone something from a GitHub repository and run it, and that's it. Okay, so I think this is just a fantastic technology, and hopefully you guys will check it out. So I'm just going to stop this, and we'll go back, and now I have all these projects, and I could invite people to collab on these projects. I could, of course, expand my resources if I needed to, if it was more of a production type project. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you guys real quick is how you can change themes. So I'm just going to go back into, let's go into the node project. Doesn't really matter. And let's see, we want to say view, custom themes. And if you don't like the default theme, let me just open up a file here. No, I want to open up this one. So that's the default. We have Atom Dark. Okay, so that's that. We have Coder Dark, Monakai. So for you Sublime Text fans, Solarized. It's pretty cool. Solarized Light. Nah, I'm not a big fan of light text editors, but some people do like them. Sublime Monakai, so there we go with Sublime. Twilight, I actually like that. VS Dark, there we go. There's VS Code. VS Light. That actually looks pretty good too. They all look pretty good. So yeah, so you can change the themes. You can kind of filter them out here, search for them. So I just wanted to show you guys that as well. And you can toggle full screen, open headerless IDE. All right, and again, all the settings if you want to check those out. So that's it. All right, hopefully you guys like this tutorial, this little crash course, and you will check Coder out. It's coder.com, very simple to remember, and I will see you next time.